it's not about doing the old ways better, faster, cheaper. It's doing things totally different. What AI tool should I buy? And I always tell them it's a good question to ask. It's the wrong time to ask it. 7% of all orgs we talk to were operationally not even mature, but beginning to do something operationally. And by the second half of the year, that turned into 24%. So a good process in the old world that you're not willing to let go of to blow up for the new world is a bad process, even if it's good.
Operationalizing AI in an organization, it's kind of like handing over keys to a Bugatti to somebody who drives a Ford pickup truck. Going to the gym one time and lifting weights, body's not going to get built over that, but repetition over a course of a year or 2 and 3, and then you have obviously something show.
Someone can't replace me because I'm me. Like, even when AI is the best ever and can connect to everything and all this other shenanigans, it's not inside my brain. And
everyone, this is Said with Messy Growth. So today's guest is someone who's spent over a decade deep inside the revenue engine of companies, helping sales, marketing, and customer teams actually execute better. I got Jonathan Kvarfordt with me. He's the VP of Go-to-Market Strategy and Marketing and Momentum, and the founder of Go-to-Market AI Academy, where he helps go-to-market teams understand how to turn AI from a buzzword into actual, real operational impact. He spent over 15 years working in revenue enablement, sales acceleration, and go-to-market strategy, building programs and frameworks for global companies, Fortune 500 organizations, and high-growth startups. Jonathan is also an AI advisor, author, and educator, mouthful, teaching professionals how to actually use AI inside sales, marketing, and RevOps and customer success, something we desperately need right now. Not just experimenting with the tools, but also driving measurable business outcomes. So over the past few years, he's become one of the voices pushing go-to-market teams to rethink how revenue organizations actually operate in an AI-first world. So today we're going to unpack what it actually means in practice, what AI is actually changing inside of go-to-market teams, why most companies still struggle to operationalize AI, how revenue organizations still need to evolve over the next few years, and what separates AI experimentations from real business impact. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
thank you so much. I'm just glad and honored and excited to be here. Thank you. And the intro was great. I need to take what you did and record it and have you do intros for me otherwise.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is something I need to go ahead and create an AI bot for that.
You should. An intro AI bot that's trained on you. I think it's great.
Perfect. I did mention in the intro that you've spent 15 plus years working inside revenue teams and you're focused on AI go-to-market organizations. From your vantage point, and by that I mean it is extremely important because you're leading in a lot of ways the movement when it comes to AI and go-to-market teams.
Yeah.
What are companies misunderstanding it most about AI right now?
The size and industry, because it's like anything, it's all over the board as far as like adoption and everything else. I think the biggest misunderstanding is that AI is an easy button you can just throw in and all of a sudden expect these amazing results, like 50% more pipeline and 20% more revenue. It doesn't come that easily. It takes a little bit of work. AI is forcing us to look at the fundamentals of business and customer experiences and our own jobs and figure out what is the actual for real process here, or the fundamental difference that I'm making as a human, and then what can be actually automated, which requires you to look at things differently. Like an example would be, I'll give you 2 examples. One is Google just released what's called the Web MCP, which is their protocol to help AI agents be able to go through the web, because the internet was not built for agents, it was built for humans. So they're recreating it so that an agent can go through it. At the same time, someone with, I can't remember what it was in banking, they said the same thing with banking, that banking was built for humans, not for agents. And as we have more AI agents who have access to either regular financial banking or to like cold wallets or to blockchain, like what does that look like when you have agents who can spit all these interactions out in financially quickly? Like we just weren't built for that. So it's a lot of things. I keep hearing this theme of we were not built for, I should say agents cannot consume this medium because it was never built for them. It was built for humans. So we're rethinking everything. The challenge is that when you're selling, buying, marketing, building, whatever you want to do, you're kind of now selling and buying and doing whatever to 2 entities. One is the human and one's with AI, and one's human and AI. So it just kind of depends on what industry you're in and how advanced your ICP is and where they're at. Just all that stuff becomes very important.
The playing field is now more leveled than ever before, right? With the introduction of AI and LLMs in go-to-market. And essentially the premise is that what the playbooks that we had 6-7 years ago are just outdated and inundated.
Yeah.
So now if you have a company or organization, their go-to-market team is not leveraging AI as they should, and their competitors are leveraging, they're going to fall far behind than their competitors because of the fact that they're not using AI, or you still think that using the olden techniques and playbooks, they can still get by?
When I first started this AI journey 3-4 years ago, part of my pitch was saying, I'll come in and help your teams learn how to do AI and help them do what they do now better, faster, easier, and cheaper. That was my pitch. Now, where we are now, 3 years later, about a year ago, I started to realize that it's not about doing the old ways better, faster, easier, cheaper. It's doing things totally different, which requires you to think about things in a way different way. And it means that for companies who are like, for example, enterprises, they have robust processes and systems and technological and data silos, like all this stuff becomes crazy. Then you have the whole security and the governance issues, like it becomes complicated really quickly. So it's not just as easy as just throwing an AI and hope for the best. It's like, you really got to think about what is the process and what's the process that will make the biggest impact on revenue, pipeline, customers, whatever. Because too many times, like people ask me all the time, what AI tool should I buy? And I always tell them that it's a good question to ask. It's the wrong time to ask it, because you don't know what your revenue growth is. You know what your problems are. You know how to prioritize. You know where to put the AI at to give outcome and ROI. You don't know. So it's not a bad question. It's just asked at the wrong time. You need to do steps A through D and then ask the question, So what we see, and let me tell you a quick thing with Momentum. Momentum is a data orchestration platform, which means that we suck all the data out of conversations and communications with customers. And so we did an analysis on our own sales calls. And we said, okay, of all the thousands of people we were talking to all year long, what is the maturity of people who are talking about AI based on how well they have operationalized AI inside of the company? Because that's what we do, is we operationalize AI. We had a good idea of like saying how many are advanced and how many are just using ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And like McKinsey and Gartner will tell you that most organizations are like 80-90% adopted in AI. But the fact is, that's them throwing a Copilot license to someone, and they have no idea how to prompt, no idea how to use it. So throwing a license to someone does not mean transformation. It just means you threw another tool.
Right.
So our data showed that right in the first half of 25, is more like 7% of all orgs we talked to were operationally not even mature, but beginning to do something operationally. And by the second half of the year, that turned into 24%. So it increased a lot, but there's not a lot of people who I would consider advanced. Operationalized. And that's from enterprise, mass, 20,000 people plus orgs all the way down to startups. That's across the board. And the good thing is that, then the 7% tripled in less than 6 months. So it's a good direction. I'll be curious to see what those numbers look like in another 6 months. But it requires, though, that someone who's willing to do the operationalized basic stuff pretty much tears apart what you do, destroy it, and build it back up and find where you go. And when you do that, you can accelerate where you were before faster than you would have by just optimizing time, if it makes any sense, So is that helpful?
Yeah, 100%. But when you say operationalize, and I get these stats, I'm assuming it is just looking at the folks that are actually using AI, and using AI to tell which cold email to write is operationally a lot different than actually putting into a go-to-market stack, which is then summarizing a lot of your data, telling you or proposing what exactly you should go about doing it, or even your LinkedIn outreach and so on and so forth. It's not the same level, right? It's just different layers, just operationalized in the sense that they're actively using it for the most part. Okay, so that stat is different.
Giving someone a tool that helps them write an email is not operationalizing AI. It's saving a little bit of time.
Sure.
It's like, it's helpful and it's good, but like, you're not going to get a 15% bump in revenue from email writing faster. It's just not going to happen. Like, you will be optimizing their time, but you need to have a dramatic operationalize, a core level foundation. Let me give you an example. Sendosa was on my podcast the other day, and they talked about how they did this. They're a mid-market company, have a few hundred, several hundred employees, but they had a BDR team of 15 people, and they were producing 15% of pipeline. And they decided, and because those people were only doing 50% and marketing was doing 85%, they could take a risk and kind of blow up that part of the business and say, let's just try this from the beginning. So they let go of their BDR team. They kept the one that was diving into AI. So month one, they blew it up. They took the one and they rebuilt the entire process by asking the question, what can AI do and what do we want the human to do? And so instead of saying, here's the old school way, let's optimize it, They're now saying, let's take what we're trying to have the customer go through as an experience. And what is the experience we want to create as a brand? Therefore, what does that mean in consequence to the human? What do they do? And how do we automate everything else? So they did that, analyze it. By month 2, they got their system up running, hired another person. By month 3, they were with, I think, 2 BDRs doing 15% of pipeline with 2 versus 15. And now by month 6, they have 4 or 5 BDRs doing 30% of pipeline with 4 or 5 BDRs. It's crazy, but it required them to have that painful 2 months of saying, we got to rebuild this. We got to figure out what this is. And to be fair, if their pipeline was 90% generated by BDRs, they probably would not have blown it up because it's 90% of the pipeline. So like they had a chance to do that. So that's why it's like, it depends on how, I guess you could say, risky or how much you want to blow things up. If, for example, you take that same example of Sendoso, and if they were producing 9%, I would ease into that. I wouldn't just like blow it up and do whatever, because that means you're losing 2 months of a lot of pipeline, right?
Yeah.
But there is ways to do that same scenario by just kind of chipping down versus blowing it up. Just like, okay, let's go down, and really think about what this is and then transition. There's ways to do it so it's not just so dramatic, but Sendoso had the ability to do that. They did a really good job of it, and they have a lot of good results now that they would not have had unless they slowed down enough to figure out what the basic fundamentals are and then understand where do we want the human. It's not like they could have done the whole thing without a human, but they chose to have a human in very key spots because they wanted their brand to be associated with the human touching certain spots and AI doing everything else. Does that make sense, hopefully?
Yeah, 100%. But when you talk about operationalizing AI in an organization, it's kind of like handing over keys to a Bugatti to somebody who drives a Ford pickup truck.
Yes.
2 vastly different things.
Very different.
And just because you're a VP or a go-to-market architect, that doesn't really mean you can know how to operational AI. So for those companies that want to adopt that and they want their team to get into the fold of AI, use it, get an competitive advantage, how do they get started?
Yeah, so answer all the woes because it's not that simple. However, I will tell you some best practices. I would suggest that someone understands, like most people want to have more revenue, more pipeline, less churn, more upsells, like the basics, right? So of all of those things, which one is the highest priority? Is it revenue? Is it upsells? Is it profitability? What is it? Once you know what and I'd say force them to pick one. And I know there's lots of priorities, but pick one, just again for this exercise. Once they pick the one, then I look backwards. Let's just say it's revenue. And you say, okay, what are the metrics that we measure that drive revenue? A classic one's called sales velocity. It's 4 metrics into one. So it's ACV, sales cycle, number of opportunities, and win ratio. Those 4 things make up the sales velocity ratio. When you measure those 4 metrics, those have to change if revenue is going to change. So then we work backwards from there. We say, okay, what are the behaviors? What are the tasks? What are the processes? What are the skills? What's the systems that drive the results for win ratio, that drive the results for ACV, that drive the results for number of opportunities? Because we know if we impact those KPIs, then revenue will be impacted automatically. So once you identify that, then you look at, okay, of all the processes and all the behaviors and all the stuff we have going on, where's the most friction? Where's the most problems? Where's the lack of conversion? And you hyper focus on that. And then you ask the question, what AI tech can help us with this? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's where you can really hone it in. I'll give you another example. I just heard from a podcast from one of our customers, Kyle Norton. I'm going to shout him out to him. They had a process where they used an AI technology that HighSpot eventually bought. But before they bought out this technology, it does coaching scores and a statistically significant analysis on humans on sales calls to figure out what skills, like there's a total of 155 different skills or something like that. And the technology would go through, listen to the calls, analyze them, say your top 10 skills that humans are doing over calls that influence win ratios and revenue, all this other stuff. It did this process for them automatically. And they found some crazy, cool, insightful things that, like, for example, what Kyle said in this podcast, I'm going to quote him, was that he thought it was going to be all discovery. But what turns out is that the biggest thing that was making the biggest difference, according to this technology, was like the end of the call. So setting up next steps, making sure you have a good negotiation, like it's the end of call skills was not the beginning discovery type things that people won't usually think. So they took that data and operationalized it using, again, humans and AI to figure out, how do we measure this? How do we track this over time? How do we know what's going to be happening? And then as they improved it, they went from 38% win ratio to 52% win ratio, which is insane to go that high. That's like almost a 20, 30,
Wow,
35%
that is a
bump.
lot.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Like 52, like 38% is massive, but 52 is insane. So, but they have a very deep and robust coaching program. It's not as simple as just throwing an AI. They have a very robust enablement coaching program, but a key part of it is this whole principle around how do we use AI in a way to improve the performance of humans, and what do we want the human to do in the first place? It's just, it's doing the hard work of the non-LinkedIn posting worthy shenanigans of what's your process and where's the data and how things are going. Like, no one wants to talk about that in LinkedIn, but that's what you have to do to get the results you want to get.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's interesting. Not everybody has the foresight to be able to predict change, especially looking at it, uh, looking at the lens of the new technology on the horizon,
Yeah.
and being able to predict that, hey, this is going to change the world, or at least it's going to change the way or the MO of how our teams will operate, go to market teams.
Yeah.
Which is leading to essentially that you didn't start in AI, you started in enablement and revenue operations.
Yes.
I guess my question is, what made you realize AI is fundamentally going to change how go-to-market teams operate? Because now I can say yes, that this is going to change. But back then, would it have that kind of an impact? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to guess that.
Story. This is kind of an intro. This will answer your question, hopefully. I did enable RevOps for a long time. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was with a company who had bought an AI technology from a guy in India who built his own freaking model. Brilliant guy. And it was a technology that 5, 6 years ago that would read people's tone of voice, body language on video and give you analysis of someone. Like, it's crazy tech. It's awesome. Anyways, so I learned from him and his team about AI, and my job was to translate all of that from that speak to salespeople and to customers so they can understand what the heck is AI, right? So I learned a lot from him and his team because of that. And then he was one of the people who said, hey, there's something coming out, because he was on some red team, blue team, some feedback team for ChatGPT. So he gave feedback on GPT-1 and GPT-2.
Oh, wow.
So he knew it was coming. But he said, hey, later this year, there's going to be a tech release you need to hop on. So I, with the other half of the planet, signed up for ChatGPT in November, you know? And I was just like, this is awesome. And I was actually in a group of people. I was in a consulting group because I was in the middle of jobs. I was doing some consulting work. And one of the consultants said, he said to me, he's like, does anyone know anyone at this company? I said, well, yeah, I know someone. I know the CRO. He's like, okay, cool. He's like, I want to talk to him about this concept of AI and using AI around this thing. Like, I was using it to have fun. And this was like, they launched in November. This was in December. And I realized, so 2 things happened. This is the first one. This guy kept saying, I want to talk to the CRO about doing AI instead of his sales team. I'm like, really? Tell me why. And I knew the enablement leader of that team. So I called him right after. I'm like, you need to get on AI right now, because there's guys coming after you. Like, it's going to be happening. And I realized then, and not only that, but then on LinkedIn, I saw what other people were talking about with AI. And because of what the AI guy, the pro, like, I consider myself a nerd. I'm not an expert. I'm a nerd. But the guy who I do consider an expert would teach me things and about where things were going again 6 years ago. And I knew the possibility of what could happen. So when I saw on LinkedIn things happening that he kind of said, they're going to start here and then move here. And I saw it happen in real time. And then this guy said, I'm going to teach AI to the sales team. And I'm like, that's what enablement should be doing. I was like, I'm all in. So I dove in. I launched the academy in December of 22. And I remember back then I had many people in the enablement RevOps space tell me, this is back when there's NFTs and crypto, and like, you know how those went, like, NFTs are worthless now. They're like, this is a fad. It's never going to stay, and all this other crap. I'm like, this is not a fad. This is not NFTs. It's going to stay, you know? And funny enough, one of the guys who criticized me came back to me last year and said, I'm so sorry. I need your help. Help me catch up with AI, you know? So it was validating enough to hear that, but that's what got me to the place where I wanted to geek out on. And I saw how much people were just hungry for information. And my gift is that I've been in enablement and GTM so long, and then I had the awareness from the AI guy. And the way that I prompt is a mixture of my enablement background plus what he taught me about AI. It's like this weird mixture. And that has also influenced how now I build AI agent teams and a skill infrastructure and cloud coding. All this stuff is kind of based off of that foundation. Does that make sense? So that's kind of where my sweet spot is.
100%. Yeah. You know, having people come to you and tell you that you were right and not help us must be one hell of an exercise in hubris.
Yeah. It was it felt good. I wasn't mean to him. Like, I appreciate the forgiveness and the justification, but honestly, I just felt for him more because I'm like, you are so far behind. We got to get you caught up. So
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah. So everyone says, AI will make teams more efficient, and in a lot of ways, it certainly has
yeah.
made teams more efficient. But efficiency at scale can create a lot of noise. You know that. How do companies avoid automating bad processes?
I'm gonna answer this in two ways. Um, Sometimes you don't know something's a bad process until you try to speed it up and you realize it's a bad process because you never had the ability of speeding up in the first place. Um,
100%.
So I think that AI is unveiling a lot of weaknesses in the best way possible because it's showing people where the weak spots are that they didn't know was there. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the other side is that I would say usually the bad processes are ones that were made either in a silo, like for example, someone made it and they got fired or something happened and becomes a code in the company. Was like, why do we do this? Like, well, this came from some Bob person that was here and then fired, and then we just kept it. Like, okay, cool. It's. I think the more danger is more of, are you willing to look at what your processes are and ask, is this the best possible? Because I think a good process in the old world that you're not willing to let go of to blow up for the new world is a bad process, even if it's good
Mm,
currently. Does that make sense?
that's
That's my personal
very
opinion.
well put. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Is there a go-to-market function though where AI is already outperforming humans? And I'm not just talking cold emails or writing those on that part.
Just because it has the ability to do convergent thinking and understand data from many different data points. Like the ability of AI to analyze hundreds of calls and give me analysis of why I'm winning and losing and give me that information in 15 minutes is insane. So yes, it's absolutely outperforming humans in an analysis point of view. I'd even say now that there's a company I work with called One Mind. They have what they call superhumans. It's like an AI avatar on websites that takes people through the beginning sales stages. So it could literally take someone through the entire sales process, but it can talk through, understand, and it uses a sales methodology in the back end training of its bot. But it also has all of the information about the company. So it has the product information and the FAQs and the technical, and it can answer any question you want. It can pull up any slide you want. Like there's a lot of ways where AI is very superior to a human. That I think that are ways that humans don't really shouldn't have done in the first place anyways. Like I'd rather have an AI be able
Yeah.
to pull up this, like in Momentum, I have created literally hundreds of decks. I'm not kidding when I say that, for marketing and for enablement or whatever.
I believe you.
The last thing I want my salespeople to do is have to scroll through 150 decks to go through 20 slides each and figure out where the hell is this stupid picture. Like let an AI do that for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because I think that the more we get into AI, the more the person's superpower is this. It's communication, it's connection, it's the internal genius, and it's the passion that someone brings to the table that I don't get excited from an AI telling me different things. I get excited from a human telling me things. Does that make sense? The
Yeah.
passion comes from
Yeah.
humans. It doesn't come from AI. Like I love what I do with AI, but my passion about AI comes from me telling you. You know what I mean? It's like
It's just a force multiplier.
it's a force multiplier. It's like half the fun is me figuring out something. I just check this out. He's got this thing done. So like otherwise
Yeah.
it's just me talking to Claude like, oh, check this out, Claude. Oh, it's like this not fun. It's not fun at all. You know?
Yeah, that's just dystopian.
It's just
I don't
dystopian.
want that world to be
Yeah.
there. I
don't either.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess on the flip side, though, if you talk about, of course, one place where AI is doing well, analysis, fully agree, 100%. What's the one function where AI is completely overrated?
As a category, I would say divergent thinking. AI is not very good at
Mm,
that. Humans are actually pretty good at holding two ideas at the same time and going down different paths and being okay with optionality. AI is naturally, I should say Gen AI is naturally convergent, which there's gifts there, like analysis, and there's weaknesses. So that's one, and there's different ways you can think about that. But it's like, yeah, I'll just say it as the main category. As far as specific tasks, AI is not very good with messiness. Like humans can actually be okay and thrive and create order out of messiness. AI is really good about making unstructured data structured. But
right.
when it means that you have to balance like all the woes of life and what's going on at home and balancing out with whatever politics and workplace and then setting up a new thing and like all the stuff that we go through every day, AI is not very good at that yet. Maybe it will be someday. But right now it just doesn't do well with messiness. It needs direction and understanding of depth. Cause like when I just made right now a skill file for my Claude, the first iteration was okay. I had to push it and I had to cue the AI to push it. Like, it's not like AI couldn't do that, but it's like, you just have to realize there's limitations of what that is and being willing to push past it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It's interesting you mentioned those BDRs, and they're kind of like stuck on the top of my head. If you were building a go-to-market team from scratch today, which you do help other teams do, how would it look different from a team, let's say, built literally 5 to 7 years ago?
There's a good friend of mine, his name's Amos Bar Joseph. He runs Swan AI. It's a great example of what you could do if you pushed it to the limits. So he has 3 co-founders. He's the go-to-market salesperson. You have a CTO, and then I think someone else handles customers. You have 3 people. That's it. And they're trying to scale it to $30 million in revenue with just 3 people. So it's a
My
pretty,
Lord.
it's a crazy exercise to think of. And his,
But like 3 full-time employees or contractors as well, or just
that's it. 3 co-founders. That's it. As far as I know, there's no agencies. It's like they're literally using AI everywhere. So anyways, he's like the extreme example, but it's inspiring because you think about all the things, if you could not hire someone and you force yourself to figure out, okay, if we have to do customer support, how do we do this with AI? Or how do I amplify me so that I can take on the highest level of pains and then AI takes care of everything else? It's a good exercise to think of. And that's how I think about with a modern company is I'd first ask the question, what is the experience or the brand experience I want the person to go through? Is it a PLG product or a sales-led motion, which is, again, differs depending on where you're going. And then I would automate literally everything I could that wasn't this. AI can't replace this motion. I would give humans the ability to buy from AI without me being involved. I'd make me an option so people can come talk to me if they wanted to. But besides that, all I'd be doing as a person would be going on podcasts, talking on webinars, talking about the passion, maybe tweaking and playing with some AI agents, and AI would take care of everything else. But when you think about the consequences of that, like, for example, I can't automate the CFO yet, especially in a publicly traded company. I can't automate a lot of things inside of an enterprise. So it's like, when we go to this, one-person billion-dollar company that Sam Altman talks about, it's going to require a lot of security and governance and possibilities that I think we're
100%.
closer to now than ever before. But it's also going to take a very unique product, because I don't know if you could do that with, I mean, maybe in the future with real estate, but like, how many companies or products or services could you do that with? Not all of them. You know what I mean? It's like the dentist. Like, how am I supposed to make $1 billion as a dentist when I'm capped on how much I can do, unless AI is doing all the robotic teeth changing, which could happen. It's just trying to figure out what that is, So does that help?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think like service industry, fast food restaurants is one area where this could happen very quickly.
Yes.
If you're just flipping burgers and that's your USP, you're in for a rude awakening, buddy.
That's right.
And you better learn and adapt with technology. That I at least feel, since we, I guess, are in a bubble and we live in it, we operate within it, we see the velocity in which it's coming. It's insane.
Yeah.
Which
It's crazy.
ties very neatly with the next question I have, is that a lot of people they're worried. Salespeople are genuinely worried. I mean,
Yep.
frontline workers on sales, go to market generally are worried because they worry AI will replace them. From what you've seen, and I know it's a lot of it is prediction making, and we know it to be true that a lot of times it can't be true. But from what you've seen in your experience, what actually happens to these roles over the next 5 to 10 years?
Because every time I think I got it, some AI technology comes out and destroys my opinion.
You tell me who got
So-
it, because I don't think anybody has.
I don't think anybody has. I think a few things, and I'm going to tell you why I think the things I do. I went and taught my sister does some schooling things, and she had me come in to talk to some 15-year-olds about AI. And more than half the class was anti-AI. Like, they don't want anything to do with it. They're also the kids who have a flip phone as a phone. They all have smartphones on purpose. So like, there's this anti-technology type of play that I've seen more and more of that, both in my age all the way down, that there's a group of people who are larger than you think who are rejecting smartphones, not even just AI, just technology in general, So that is one reason why I think that the future is going to be a place where people can choose and companies can decide on, do they want to be a company that offers only AI, AI plus humans or only humans. It's going to be that type of thing of whatever it is. Like, for example, if I go to a concert right now, I can't imagine a world where I could go to a concert with robots performing that I would get the same feeling when I watch Muse as the rock band. I just don't see that world happening. It could very well happen. I just don't know. And I don't know if I want to experience that because I still believe in my core, there's uniqueness around the souls of humans that gives us this whatever frequency connection that makes us human. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think there's also going to be people who are going to be okay with going to an AI robot concert. Like, that's going to happen. It doesn't mean it replaces the humans. It means it's a different experience. It's like going from black and white TV to color TV. It's not like kind of sort of replaced it, but like it's just a different experience. It doesn't like make the other one less.
I know, but I would argue that when you're going from black and white TV over to color, that's natural evolution of things.
Yep.
Where we're heading out in which, because think of it this way, there is still a person behind that television producing a show, producing news, operators that you're listening to it. But if you're taking your analogy of a concert that is just purely AI and robot, that is a completely different experience because behind that, there is not a soul operating. Maybe there's a person who built that thing, the whole structure around it, of course. But the soul of the aspect is not there.
You just answered your own question. Like, think about OpenClaw. Who built OpenClaw? It didn't build itself. Someone did. Yeah. OpenClaw is an outward expression of a creator, right? It's like, I always use the comparison of Iron Man. Tony Stark got so far in a cave, but he could never have become Iron Man without Jarvis. And Jarvis would never have become Iron Man by himself. It took Tony and Jarvis together to make Iron Man. So that's, and think about this other way, like this thing about economics. If the supply is that everybody has access to AI, that means therefore the supply is unlimited and therefore there's not a lot of value. If you and I had the same skill level and we both were given tasks of doing marketing and we both have the same AI tech, they'd be totally different because you and I are totally different people. So that the experience that the user would have would be completely different with the same task, same tech, but the different users are different. I believe that AI of the future will be governed and ruled by those who create it. Even if the AI becomes self-created, it will still be a shadow of the creator. It's like even like on who's the bad guy is that there was a robot that took over on Iron Man, whatever. He was still a shadow of Tony Stark, the personality, you know? So it's like the negative side, sadly.
Ultron,
that's right. Ultron, thank you. But when you think about it, like the future is a world where someone can't replace me because I'm me. Like even when AI is the best ever and can connect to everything and all this other shenanigans, it's not inside my brain. And I'm not planning on doing the smart chip with Elon Musk anytime soon, but like it can't replace my soul.
Hey.
You know?
Hey, they'll give you a subscription fee.
I know, right? But I just think that when AI becomes more and more than anyone else, if the salesperson asking, what is my value? Your value is you. Like even the Copyright Office of the United States came out this last year and said, in order for you to claim copyright, you have to do one of two things. You either have to change or have influence. A human has to touch an output of an AI, music, songs, image, whatever.
Sure.
Or your IP has to be inside the prompt that created it in the first place. It's either input or output has to be touched by humans to claim copyright, right? So that means then the IP either going on top of the end result or going into it is valuable. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, and I would argue that most people who are in sales, well, I shouldn't say this too loudly, but I really do believe that there are let's just say I have a team of 100 salespeople. I would say 20 of them actually like doing sales. 80 of them don't like it. They're there because of necessity. Does that make sense?
Well,
they would rather
the world, right?
They'd rather do something else. So again, I don't know what the world would look like, but like when you think about the consequences of technology and you look at when technology can be customized to a specific person's needs, why would you buy a massive technology like Salesforce current state? Again, I believe Salesforce is going this direction, so please know I think they're going to be fine. But current state, if you have the option of a legacy platform that is just a basic model that everyone uses, or you're a Kvarfordt in Louisiana, that another Kvarfordt in Louisiana made an AI CRM for you specifically, you're going to buy the thing that's customized to you, which means that it's going to open up this huge mass market of a lot of smaller companies, just like eating away at all these bigger ones because they're customized to the vertical or to the specific person they're going through. It's the forward deployed engineer model of Palantir. You know what I mean? It's like, how do we get this so it's so use of mind, me as a guy in Utah doing marketing in my basement when I'm bald. Like, what's the thing for me? Which is going to open up a lot of opportunity so that the 80 salespeople who don't really like sales anyways could vibe code and do something around RC cars or music or counseling or whatever the hell they're passionate about. I think that the human genius is the moat, is one part of the moat. And their ability to wield the tech in a way that is based on their passion is going to be help separate them.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the age-old phenomenon, right? Like when internet came out, the possibilities were endless, but how
Yeah.
many people were actually able to utilize it
Mhm.
other than posting TikTok videos? Do you know what I mean? It's like, sure, this is again, we're again at the intersection of a great technology coming in that could
Yep.
change a lot of lives. I believe that I don't know who said it, but that this technology is going to make more billionaires than previous technology,
Right.
predominantly internet, of course, because it's just a new form of things. I believe
Right.
that. But for that to happen, inherently, that aspect of grit, passion, energy, you got to put that out inherently, or for
You're
whatever way.
correct.
I think he has making us a lot more lazier, which is like put up a prompt,
You're
we'll build it
correct.
for you. But that's just kind of like going to the gym one time and lifting weights. Body's not going to get built over that, but repetition, 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 repetition over a course of a year or 2 and 3, and then you have obviously something to show.
Correct.
I don't know the direction it's
require
going in.
it does require effort because I can't just put in a prompt. Like even if AI was in a point like Cursor becomes this amazing thing where I could build a Salesforce like CRM with one prompt. If you could do that with one prompt, that means that that's no longer valuable. So again, that's why you need to look at what is it that makes those things valuable. It's your brainwave and be able to actually invest your brain and time into whatever passion. That's why I like passion, because it becomes people don't have to try as much when they're passionate about something. When you hate something, you have to try a lot. It's a lot of energy to do something you hate. It doesn't take as much energy to do what you love, even though it's a lot of energy, but you don't have to motivate yourself as much. And that's why I tell people lean into what you're passionate with, lean into your genius more now than ever, and then use AI to help you more, because that's going to be the world where either your own genius is going to be valuable enough by itself, and that what you can do to amplify that with AI is going to be better than ever before.
Yeah, 100%. Switching gears a little bit and coming down the mountain of AI, have you worked across Fortune 500 companies and startups?
Yep.
Is there something that revenue leaders consistently get wrong when they're trying to scale?
I think people misunderstand how much work it will take to make the differences they're trying to do, and they're not prepared to do it, And to be fair, I think you can get a lot of ROI by just doing some simple time-saving optimization, because we waste so much time. So much time is wasted in Fortune 500 companies. It's ridiculous. So if all they did was just focus on time, that's great. But I would say that they're going to be capped at some point, because humans have a cap of both time and capabilities. You got to find a way to either amplify the human like crazy or totally replace certain tasks. So you're not capped by a human's time, attention, skills, time hours, blah, blah, all this sort of stuff, So, but again, that means you're willing to take a look at the fundamental core job to be done of whatever you're looking at to make sure that AI can do that. And most people are not willing to do that, to be quite frank. I mean, to your point of people can become entrepreneurs and all sorts of things, but they don't because they're lazy. It's the same thing inside of organizations. You can do a lot of cool stuff, but they don't, because it's a lot of freaking work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
plus friction, plus there's a lot of layers and
politics
involved,
and all that stuff. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a popular GT go-to-market trend that right now that you think is just complete nonsense?
It's actually really funny. I'm a comment to get some lead magnet person. So I don't think that's a fad. Obviously I would, if I thought so, I wouldn't do it. What I do think is a fad is that there's a lot of theoretical bullshit and not a lot of practical application of what does that actually mean right now. So a lot of people say like, yeah, I created $10 million in pipeline in this thing and blah, 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 all this, whatever. And it's like, but they have no receipts. They have no things to show it up. They have no walkthrough of how it happened and
nothing to back it up with.
Nothing to back it up. It's just like, theoretically you could get $10 million. I'm like, okay, theoretically I can do a lot of stuff, but like, what is actually happening, And to be fair, there's people doing some really wicked cool stuff, but the problem is when you hear about the cool stuff, it's in the same noise bracket as all the other shenanigans. So you don't know what's real, what's not. So that's the biggest thing I don't like is that. Like I'm not perfect either at different things, but like I'll tell someone, I can't do this right now. Like, this is what I can do is this. I can't do this, you know? And if that
Yeah.
shows my ignorance, because maybe AI has a capability and I don't know about it, then I'd welcome someone to tell me I'm ignorant, because I don't know. I don't know what I don't know, you know? So
Yeah.
anyways, I just wish more people would be more transparent about where they're at versus trying to sell the hype, because I think there's a lot of bullshit hype.
Yeah, 100%. I think like one of one of my friends, he said that on this podcast, that engagement is masking competence. Is that just because the loudest minority, you tend to believe when they say, comment X, I'll give you the. But it's not that easy, dude. You can't, like, you know what I mean? I believe you. There is a lot that you can do with it, and you can go fight far. But the fact that the people that are becoming overnight experts, it's just it's tough. It's tough to swallow. It's tough to understand and decipher what is what. And that's where that transparency aspect comes in, I guess.
I think the other thing too, I would say, is there's a belief that I think people have this unconscious belief when they listen to people like myself or others. And I do not mean to say this. I'm going to say very, very honest. A lot of people feel like they're behind, and I would tell them that you are behind, and so am I, and so is everybody else. Like, we're all behind. Welcome to the
We're
party.
all behind.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
even though I might be a little bit ahead of you, like I'm always trying to learn, and I still feel like I'm behind. Every time I learn, I'm like, man, I got to learn a whole another freaking infrastructure. So it's like, I think that people who pretend to they feel like they have things figured out, they really don't. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know, I'm going to go try this. I'm going to go experiment. Cool. Go do it. But don't tell me you've got this figured out when you, like the question you asked me, what's going to happen in 5 years? I have no idea. No clue.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you. I have no idea what's going to happen. And that's sadly a lot of what people can do sometimes, is that, so
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah. 100%. I wish there were more people out there that would just say simply, I don't know have you ever seen an interview where somebody just simply said, hey, I don't know the answer to that? Yeah, but you're the expert.
It's few.
Yeah, few.
But I mean, those are the times you appreciate it, because I mean, sometimes an interview asks that question and an expert will say, I don't know. And you're thinking to yourself, how in the hell could you not even think of it? It seems so obvious of a question, but
Yeah.
sometimes experts are like, they're wicked smart, and they're like hyper focused on one thing. Like, oh, I never thought of it. Like, it's not their fault they don't think about different things. It's just, they are where they are.
It's just horses with blinders on.
Yeah.
Their just focus is pretty deep.
Yeah. That's why I'm not an expert, is because I'm too much of a squirrel. Like, oh, what about that? What about that? It's just, all that stuff.
ADHD.
Yeah.
I get it. I wanted to talk to you about, because a lot of times I've heard, and it's a mantra that is repeated over and over again, that give me a salesperson who's consistent over one that is a little bit volatile, and I would pick the consistent one every single time. I guess a question coming out of that would be, how much of a go-to-market success actually comes down to process discipline versus creativity of some sort?
The sports analogy.
Please go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Bill Belichick or use Tom Brady. Go for it.
Okay, well, I'll use Michael Jordan.
No, not Patriots. You're from Utah. God, you shouldn't really be using Patriots
No,
examples.
I like the Patriots. I'm a big Tom fan. It's okay. So Michael Jordan. So when he came into the Chicago Bulls, his first coach built the system that depended on Michael Jordan, and they never could get to the finals. What changed was they had the same talent, the same best basketball player in the world who's ever existed, blah, blah, blah. What changed was Phil Jackson. And he came in and had a different philosophical difference and a different system that did not depend on Michael, but amplified Michael. And he brought in other talent like Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and all these guys, so like BJ Armstrong, all these guys. So it's like the system did not depend on Michael, but it amplified him to where they won 6 championships. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not saying that like, of course, everyone knows, like, the year that Michael wasn't there, they went to the semifinals or something. They got close, but didn't quite make it or something like that. They got really far. But point is that Michael couldn't have done it without the system. That's the point. Does that make sense? So my opinion is, I would rather have a good system that a salesperson walks into. I would take a mediocre sales rep and put him into a good system than an amazingly talented sales rep in a bad system. If that makes any sense. They're never
gonna succeed, right? You can put the best rep in the United States in a shitty system, they're just not gonna succeed.
Like
because
Michael
you're giving
Jordan.
them those guardrails of crappiness. Yeah, Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Like Michael Jordan. It wasn't like the thing was crappy. It just was the wrong system for Michael to win, So it's like, anyways, and to your point, I think that why I bring this up, because the salespeople who are consistent usually have an internal system that they're following, because no one else has given them anything else to work with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I'd rather take them, because it's a system that they use that they know is successful versus just fly by night, try whatever I want to do type thing, you know?
Yeah. 100%. I want to ask you something before we head into our rapid fire round. Everybody wants to upskill. They want to level up. Folks are spending money
Yep.
on conferences, books, courses, what have you.
Yep.
If you had to bet your career on one skill that revenue leaders must develop within the next decade, let's just go with that. What would that be? Just anything in general. I kind of feel like AI is kind of like a duh thing. I mean, my belief
Um,
is that if you don't know it already or you're not proficient in it, get proficient in it. But I guess a layer on top of it, if you had to add, what would that be?
I would give one that is very AI focused and the other two are not. So
Sure.
one is metacognition. So being willing to think about how you think. You have to be willing to look at how you think and tear it apart. Two is, maybe I'll combine them, creative / critical / systems thinking. Like, you put them in a bucket, it's a lot of thinking. Like, are you willing to be creative and critical and systematized around how you think around systems in general for your team? Not
Yeah.
just because of AI, but just because in general, I think it's better. Lastly, as far as an AI skill, is to build skills. So I say that because I personally believe the new world we're going into in AI is going to be based on the skill architecture that Claude has set up. I could be wrong, because it could totally change. But even if I am wrong, it's going to be very parallel or very similar to what happens. Like, for example, skills are the next level of custom GPTs. GPTs are very close to skills. They're just, skills are a lot more flexible. So if it was me, I would tell people, go on YouTube. There's a ton of free resources there. Go research Claude skills and Claude Cowork and figure out, like, how do you build a skill, and then go play and build yourself your own skills inside of your own Claude Cowork. Like, pay $20 a month for a month, like pay $20 for Pete's sakes, and go test this out and go build some skills and see what you can do. Cause you can do some really cool things. And when you have OpenClaw, which was built on the skills architecture, we can do some crazy cool stuff. I think that's
Yeah.
where we're going to be going, and the world of organizational agents. I think I'm going to prophesy this, actually. I'll probably be wrong. I'm going to say it anyways. Is going to be built on the skills architecture, in my opinion. An organizational agent who helps a billion-dollar company will be a skills architect in tech, like OpenClaw. So I would say you need to know how those work and start playing. And you can do it all for free. Well, $20 for Claude, and then for free on YouTube. Yeah.
You could spend that on leveling up. 100%.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. This is fascinating stuff. Thank you. So Jonathan, very quick, rapid fire round, quick
Yep.
questions, quick answers. The best advice you ever received, business or personal? I'm going to write that down because I think not enough reminders of that is enough. Oh, that's perfect. On the flip side, advice you ignored or wish you had listened to.
You know, probably, I hear some of my mind like, that's such a lame thing to say, but it's true. It's being paid like AI can do things really fast. Us humans take time, and that's okay. So be patient in the process.
I think like the greatest ability one can have is the ability to slow down because slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Right. That's exactly right.
Is the ability. Justin Fight said that, by the way, one of the very great sales leader that I admire. So
Yep.
that's kudos to him.
Yep.
What would you tell your younger self, say 7 to 10 years ago?
16?
Well, back in 2016, yes.
Very helpful for anybody else, because I was in a very different space. But I think I would say this is more of a spiritual thing for me, so I hope you don't mind.
Please, this is back for reflection, back to you. So
yeah, I was not happy where I was professionally. I did not feel like I was really meeting my passion, my gift in this life. I'm a late bloomer when it comes to that. I've been searching for things for a long time. It's only been the last 3 or 4 years deep diving into AI and doing some things here that I've really found my calling. And I remember being very frustrated. I would tell myself back then, be patient. It's coming. Be patient in the process. Because like everything that I learned through those hard times, and again, this is a really trite thing to say, but it's true. I went through so many failures and so many crappy things that has made me so now where I am. I couldn't do what I'm doing now without those things. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So it makes me very, very grateful for it. And I would tell that part of myself 10 years ago, I'd say, you're going to be grateful for what you're going through. And I'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not grateful for this. This is stupid. But I am. So just be patient in the process
Yeah.
and enjoy the moment.
Yeah. Suffering is often masked as growth.
Yes.
But it takes time for you to go ahead and understand and realize it.
Yes.
It's funny because back when I was in college, I didn't have a couple of bucks to buy tacos for my wife, back then girlfriend.
Yeah.
It is ironically the best memory that I have is that fact that we were having
Right.
these tacos, beef tacos, overlooking a damn lake or some shit, and we weren't able to afford it, yet we somehow got it and we ate them, and it's just inane because we've had some of the best meals of our life after that, and we have kids and we have a house, but that just memory is imprinted in there, and it was a crappy time financially, but I don't
I'm with
know,
you.
man. I mean, I guess I enjoy these moments more because of the fact that I went through that moment. I don't know if
I'm
you
with you.
understand what I'm trying to say,
I'm
but
totally with you. Totally with you. I think it's those moments that it's kind of like on the show Friends when I think it was Paul, whatever his name is, says, "I wish someone would tell you when you're in the good old days, so you don't miss them." You know what I mean? It's like you don't know you're
yes,
making those imprints until later. You're like, "Oh, that was such a
yeah,
good memory,"
yeah,
So
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, that's amazing. We're reminiscing back to some good old times.
Sure.
An ongoing challenge in your current work that keeps you up at night.
Mm.
Mm.
Because there is a possibility where AI becomes anything and everything that we could ever need. And what does that mean? Like I'm trusting again in higher power that there is a path through this, and on the other side, it's going to be a beautiful thing. I genuinely believe that, but I'm just worried about those, like you said, aren't willing to do the work or to adjust as fast. And so I don't worry about me. I worry more about others who are just not ready for that dramatic of a change so fast.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, the next one is a pretty interesting one. Your favorite restaurant meal or spot in Utah?
Blue Iguana downtown. It's a
Blue
Mexican
Iguana, what
place.
is that?
It's a Mexican place. It's
Oh,
really
Mexican
good.
place.
But there's actually Blue Iguana and Red
Ooh.
Iguana. They're both good. And then I like
That is perfect.
that's
Blue and red. That's awesome.
Blue and Red. It's really good. And I might have to say there's another place called Smoking Apple, which is a barbecue place. Freaking good. So I'd say
Right.
those two.
All right. Perfect. I'm gonna add that in. What do they make good, by the way? The red and blue iguanas. What was your favorite dish there?
I'm kind of a classics guy when it comes to Mexican. Like I just had a Cali style burrito. Oh, so good.
Ooh.
Yeah, it sounds just plain, but it's like a whole other level there. So if you ever come to Salt Lake, you want to go to Blue or Red Iguana and ask for the Cali burrito.
Absolutely. Thank you for the recommendation.
That's right, man.
Last one tool that you cannot live without and swear by.
One tool?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Probably coworker.
I mean,
right
it
now.
can be your Bugatti that is parked outside. It didn't. I mean, it's a tool, but
well, if we're talking tools, it's my computer. Like I couldn't do it without my computer.
Yeah,
Like I do a lot on my laptop. Now, if it's an online software, probably right now is Cowork. Like Cowork and me do tons of stuff right now, so I'm loving it.
100%. Perfect.
Yeah,
Jonathan, this has been enlightening, fun. Really enjoyed talking to you. I really appreciate it. Where can listeners find you?
My LinkedIn's my GTM AI journal. So if you want to see what I'm talking about there, go to LinkedIn. And then my own podcast is at gtmaipodcast.com. We do deep dives into workflows behind the scenes with people. So we do tons of technical type stuff. It's a lot of fun. And we give away tons of like free goodies and skills and custom PPTs. And I give away stuff like all the time. So one of those two places is great. I just want to tell you, like, you're a phenomenal host. I appreciate all the research. I appreciate all the listeners tuning in. It's very kind of you all to do this. And I just want to tell you thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you for being here, sharing your time with me. It's been pretty valuable. I really thank you once again for coming on here.
You're welcome.
If you got value out of this, folks, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you next week. Thank you.